Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and thank you for joining me here for another video. We are in the Florida Keys, and we got here, I don't know, a week and a half ago, something like that. We're down here for 3 weeks total, and we've got something fun going on today. We're going to upgrade our hitch in a big way, and a huge thanks to B&W for sending us this hitch. We're going to get a real good test all the way across the country this year. So we're going to get this thing installed today. I'm going to open it up and see what we're working with here. See what we got. It's an absolutely beautiful day. It's like 73 degrees, and which is a good thing because our air conditioners are broke right now. So it's nice that it's beautiful outside. Got the doors open, the sea breeze. It's nice. But let me show you what we're working with here. So we have got the B&W Continuum hitch, which I have had my eye on for a while. And we reached out to them and they sent this out to us, and I could not be more excited to get rid of that, which is an equalizer. Have not been real happy with that hitch. It's the one that came with our Imagine, and since we have upgraded trailers, we now want to get a much better hitch for our trailer, and we're going to put this guy on the trailer and give it a good test. All right, so I got the boxes opened up here. Let's get this out of the way. So we got our instructions there, Continuum, and then this is the actual shank for the truck, as well as the hitch head. They also sent over a locking pin, which is nice. But we're gonna get the instructions read, see what we got to do here. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Boy, that looks nice. I love it. And this is a hydraulic pressure ram for the actual weight distribution. All right, so first thing, we're gonna get the propane tanks pulled off of here and get everything out of the way to be able to install this. We need good access to the frame, so we need to get the old parts off of here, get the tanks off here, get all this stuff cleared out of the way. All right, so I got the hitch area all cleared off. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to move this, but I'm gonna verify first, because I might be able to sneak it in here without having to do that. So the old hitch is removed, that's all good. Propane tanks are off, everything's out of the way. So now I'm gonna start taking some measurements and figure out exactly where I gotta place every item. I gotta measure the truck's ball as well, but yeah, this should be good. All right, so I got the first part out of a box, and this thing weighs a lot. This thing is built super strong. Look at the max weight, 16,000 pounds. If you get a different travel trailer, you could get just about any travel trailer you could possibly want, and it still wouldn't hurt the hitch. But, wow, oh boy, that's heavy. It looks like we're gonna be able to put our rock tamers back on too. It looks like there's gonna be enough space. So there's not any adjustment in the hitch head. It's all in the hydraulics. So, and look, there's grease fittings. You can actually grease it. Like, this is a forever hitch. This isn't something that just wears out and gets thrown away. This is super nice. All right, so I got the hitch in the truck, and we have to see if we have to turn this over to a rise. Let's take some measurements. So by this, we can take a measurement from the top of the ball, and then you also take a measurement from the coupler to the ground. And let me show you what you're looking for. All right, so I've got the instructions here, and this is what I was talking about with the measurements. So you measure, obviously, the top of the coupler, and then to the top of the ball. And when you measure it here, the top of the ball needs to end up 1 to 2 inches higher than your coupler measurement. And that determines how far you adjust this up or down, or if you flip this to be a rise or a drop. So we're gonna get these measurements done first. I'm gonna measure the ball here first. All right, so the truck measurement is sitting at 19 1/4 here from the ground. Now let's go see what the trailer is. So now I will say, before you do measurements of the coupler, make sure that your trailer is level front to back and side to side. This is a level gravel site here, so we're good there. We're just gonna need to measure the top of the coupler here to make sure we don't have to move the hitch head or see how much we have to move the hitch head. But you do need to make sure you measure, and measure on your frame. Don't measure on like your belt line or something. I measured to the bottom of my frame, front and back, to make sure that I was level. So now on the trailer here, we are sitting at 23 1/2. So we are gonna have to go up quite a bit on the truck. So I think I'm gonna have to flip that around and make it a rise, but let's go check. Perfect, so I did flip that over, so now it is a rise, and it's on the lower of the, well, there's one more setting below it, but this is sitting at 24 1/4, 24 1/2. So we are about 1 inch higher than the trailer. So that is good to go. So now that we got the measurements all good to go here and the head and everything is set, we're good to go. It's all pinned. I'm gonna go ahead and point this out as well in the instructions. The pins for the hitch head, they are directional. So that little bump on the front needs to be where the spring sits. So it should look like that. And I did flip one over. If you do, it doesn't close very tight. So that could potentially cause a problem. So you definitely want to make them sit as noted in the instructions. But this is all good to go. The next step, we're going to install the hydraulic pump. Let me find the brackets here, all the stuff out of the instructions, and we'll get this going here. So I got all the parts we need here for the pump mount bracket, which is this guy. So we got this ready to go, and I found the nuts and bolts as well. We're gonna go over to the frame and get this installed. We do have a 6-inch frame, so we will probably be right there. Should be good there. And we're going to make sure we are 4 inches away from where the propane tank comes down, so you don't cover it up, and make sure you have plenty of space. Make sure you don't hit it when you're trying to put your hydraulic pressure on. All right, so I got the pump bracket on here, and it's just snugged down. They do have torque specs in the manual, so make sure you do torque these down correctly and torque them evenly. Don't snug one all the way down and then put the other bolt in. Do them evenly and make sure that they don't bend. And let me show you an exact example of why you do that. I did not install this equalizer. The dealership that I bought my RV from did. Look at how bent that is, because they just cranked that thing down. So not good. Now on this hitch, you're not really going to be able to bend that because that is pretty beefy. But what you could do accidentally is leave a gap. You're going to want to make sure that that is nice and snug on the frame evenly. No gaps, you know, not way opened up on the bottom or top. Just make sure it's nice and even, torqued down correctly. And here's the diagram of what I was talking about. You want to make sure that that's nice and even. Their instructions are really good with this. Really nice instructions. And that is 40 foot-pounds. You want to tighten those guys down too. So I've got my torque wrench here set to 40 foot-pounds. Get those all torqued down. And then we'll move on to the next step here. So the next step is the pump install. So I've got everything here. I've got the hydraulic ram, the pump and reservoir here, and the bolts. So we're going to go, and it says to lay this under the trailer while you mount this. So we'll do that first, and it just mounts using 1 on the bottom and 2 on the side of these bolts, these little dudes right here. And good to go. Go get these installed. So I got this all mounted up here and snugged down, and these are, once again, 40 foot-pounds. Don't over-torque them. I would imagine you could rip the threads right out of there if you're not careful. So get those tight, but then torque them to specs. So this is installed. Now I'm going to go get the hydraulic ram hanging assembly here that bolts to the top of the frame, and we're going to get that installed. And I did have to remove that, but that's fine. It's going to end up right there. So I have just about got the whole hitch installed, and I'll show you how it's going here in just a second and how everything looks. As a side note, look at the sunset. Beautiful. It is amazing weather here in the Keys. We've been so blessed to be here for the last couple weeks and still got another week to go. But I'm going to pause because I need to run to the hardware store. I need to get a 1/2 to 3/8 adapter for my large torque wrench because there's some bigger torque specs coming up here. So I need that. We're going to pause, go get some dinner, get that, and I'll pick this right back up in the morning. But let me show you how it looks right now. So we are looking good so far, and I was actually able to put this back on. There was enough clearance to put it back on here once I got this installed, but I've got the bracket here completely installed for the hydraulic ram in there, which is right down there. I still have to do the hanging piece here for when you're unhooked from your trailer, and to install it here. But I've got the mounts here all good to go, all snugged down. Everything's ready. I just got to put the weight stable bars down here and then test the truck with it. So we're gonna do that tomorrow. I'm gonna run to the hardware store real quick. It's not a project without at least one trip to the hardware store, right? Well, good morning everybody, and we are back out here finishing up the hitch install. Did go to Home Depot yesterday and get a little adapter for my torque wrench so that everything's nice and snug down, torqued to spec. The next thing we gotta do is insert the air hose, the vent hose for the hydraulic pressure, and then basically connect it to the truck, put the bar on, and set it to where it needs to be. So let's get the hose cut to length, and then we'll go ahead and insert it into the pump, and then that's basically it. We got to install the foot on the jack, pull the truck up there, and hook it up and see what we got. So the step that we are on now, we had just completed torquing down the brackets here for the hydraulic ram. Next thing we're going to do is to cut the air hose fitting. So you got to pull this off a little bit. You can still leave zip ties there, some little bit of slack. And then we're going to go ahead and cut this to size and put it into the hydraulic ram there. So let's go over there now. So now over here on the hydraulic pump, you do have to remove this little block here to insert the air line. So I've got this cut to size. We're going to get this inserted here. And then I'm going to actually tie this off once we're done just a little bit. But everything should be good to go. So, and it does mention that if there's a little bit of pressure relief when this comes out, it's normal. So let's go ahead and get this line in here. So we got the vent hose all installed, ready to go. Next step is to grease the hitch head. Got my grease gun here, gonna go ahead and take care of that. There's very specific instructions here on how to grease the hitch head. And it also does mention that every 500 miles or so, you wanna throw some grease in there, which is really nice. This is the most detailed instructions I've ever seen on anything, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this done. And then the next step we're gonna be working on is installing the load bars. So we're gonna go ahead and get the truck moved over there in a second and get those installed. So now I've got the truck all hooked up here to the trailer, and I went ahead and retracted the jack and slid this under, and then it says to install it in the middle hole. So I've got it in the middle hole here. And the next thing we're gonna do is actually extend the hydraulic ram, which you just need to push down on it with some force. So I'm gonna need both my hands here. Loosen this up all the way so you have no pressure, and then extend that all the way down. So I have got the hydraulic ram fully extended there, and I've got this placed into the receiver on the hitch head. Now, it does give you some guidelines as far as pressure in the hydraulic system. So I'm around 1,000 pounds of tongue weight, which means I'm gonna be looking for around 1,300 pounds to start with and take measurements. So you need to make sure the trailer stays level. You also wanna make sure you don't go too much, or obviously not too little, because you want to transfer the right amount of weight to the front axles. Now, I took measurements of my truck before we started as far as the front axles and the rear axle. And you want to refer to the manual because the rest of this is going to be very, very dependent on setup. I'm going to put some hydraulic pressure in this and take some measurements, see how much squat we've eliminated, and then see how much of the front tire gap has been closed back to normal. So that is looking really good. I've got right around 1,300 PSI in there. I think I'm gonna be between 1,300 and 1,600 PSI once I do a test tow. The trailer is level. I've only got about an inch of squat in the truck, which is really good. It's sitting really nice and level, and I'm not gonna know how this is gonna perform until I take my first test. So we're gonna get this all wrapped up here, and let me show you the installation of that bracket as well. Well, there is the finished install here of the hitch. I did get some safety chain extensions because we needed them with it going underneath the spring bar assembly here. So got some safety chain extensions. I got the breakaway cable remounted, the propane cover back on, and everything's all mounted torque to spec. I got the grease in the hitch head, and I also, you can see there, have the foot installed on the tongue jack that holds this up when you're at your campsite. So it's not just sitting on the ground like that. You can lift it up, sit it there so it stays in good shape. We are gonna hook this up to the truck right now and do our first test tow and see how it does and give you some first impressions of it. You hear that noise?
What noise?
Yeah, no noise. Because we don't use an equalizer anymore. We don't disturb the campground driving through it.
You know, this would be really nice for those national parks.
You can't hear anything. It's dead silent.
Because you could hear it everywhere it echoed on the other one.
If anyone's familiar with what an equalizer sounds like, it sounds like you're breaking something. Well, I definitely want to give B&W a huge thanks for sending that hitch out. And I wanted to give it a couple weeks and tow with it a few times before I finished this video and gave my thoughts. It's silent. It makes absolutely no noise, unlike the equalizer, which made a lot of noise. It works just as advertised. It's perfect. It controls the sway. I heard some comments, people not understanding how it does sway control. I'm not an engineer, so I can't comment on that, but it works as advertised, and it works perfectly. We had 0 sway and almost 500 miles of towing now. It actually performed better than the equalizer, which people are claiming design-wise has better sway control. However, it seemed to perform better than the equalizer for us. So, and that's just honest opinion after towing with it for almost 500 miles now. So it did great. It makes no noise. You don't disturb the campground. It did a great job with weight distribution as far as the trailer being nice and level. I felt there was a whole lot less chucking back and forth motion from the truck and trailer. And I don't know if that was just the hydraulics, a little bit more pressure, how I said it, but it works great. So we're going to continue giving some updates here over the next, I don't know, couple months as we tow with it more.
and see how it holds up, how it does over the long run. But thank you guys, and we will see you guys in just a couple days.